Hi everyone and welcome to Fresh from my garden. As I'm walking through my garden, I can see so many plants that have gone to seed. This is the carrot flower which I had shared in previous video, and this has bloomed and it will go to seed pretty soon, and we can save these seeds for sowing in the next season. And this is the butterfly pea flower, and this is also starting to dry. So as this breaks up, we can get seeds that we can harvest and sow again. So let's take a look around our garden to see what other plants have gone to seed and what we can save now. A lot of plants have just started producing seeds and they are not ready for harvest yet, but we can still take a look and harvest whatever seeds we have so that we can grow them in the next season. So here we have the Boinia plant, and as you can see here there is a seed pod and this plant is starting to produce seeds. We had purchased this plant from a nursery and it has been blooming quite often in our garden. These are some of our gomphrenias that I grow from seed. So purple gomphrenias were what we had in our garden, and then I purchased some of the seeds for white and pink gomphrenias. So all these plants were grown from seed, and now that all the flowers have started to dry up, we can just harvest seeds from them. So when I purchased the seeds online, the seeds looked just like this. It had that coating of the petals around it, and I just sprinkled them in a container. So this is the container in which we grow all these flowers, and as you can see there are small plants or saplings that have started to germinate from the seeds that I had earlier planted in this container. And this is the Turrenia flowers, also purchased as a plant from the nursery. And as you open the dried up flowers, we can see the seeds that are inside. They're very tiny seeds, white tiny seeds, just like petunias, and they are very hard to see. But these tiny seeds are the ones that I'm going to be throwing back into this container so that I can get new plants. So, usually, with most of the flowering plants, that's what I do. I just harvest the seeds and throw them back right into the container. Here I have some Salvia flowers. We had purchased the red and the purple salvia from the nursery, and the black seeds are the seeds of the salvia flower, and they can also be harvested. So, when I checked a few of the buds, I didn't find seeds in all of them. So, I just got a few seeds that I have harvested and I'm dropping them all back into the container. I'm going to be doing the same thing with my purple salvia flowers as well. There are a lot of buds that have started to dry up and produce seeds. So, harvesting seeds from all of them and dropping them back into the container. These vincas are usually self seeding plants, and these are the seed pods that have started to form on this plant. So we have the white and the pink vinca or the periwinkle flowers, and I'm just going to break it up and show you. But now the seeds are not yet ready because the seed pods are still green. So the seed pods need to turn brown and be mature before the seeds are formed. So anytime we are trying to harvest any kind of seeds, we need to make sure that the seeds have turned brown and they have matured completely, because otherwise those seeds will not germinate. We have a few of these plants on our terrace garden, and many of them have self seeded and grown in the same container or in containers near them. So we have a few pots of these vinca flowers on our terrace, and none of them were grown by me. I just brought one plant and then I got so many plants over a period of time because they self seeded and they were self propagated and they grew in a few containers right next to the mother plant and some also in the same container. So, this is really a very beautiful self seeding flower. Zinnias are flowers that I love to grow a lot, and sometimes they do well for me, and sometimes they don't. So, these are a few zinnias that I purchased online at the nursery, and the flowers have started drying up. And I did throw a few of the dried flowers into this container for them to germinate, but nothing has germinated yet. So, as I go through the flower buds, I can harvest some of the seeds that I will be planting in a different part of my garden. Zinnias are usually very easy to grow from seed, but sometimes I'm not very successful with it and I have not had good growth on the zinnia flowers. They just dry back very quickly for me. So here I am going through all those dried buds and trying to find some seeds that I can plant in another part of my garden. So these are the seeds of zinnia that you can see. The flat ones are the seeds of zinnia and these can be sown to grow new plants. So I'm going to be saving these seeds and planting them in another part of my garden. This is one part of my garden in the south side of our garden, and I'm trying to create a wild flower patch or a flower patch with a lot of mixed different kinds of flowers. So I'm planting these seeds here. Here I have a few dahlias that have been growing really well, and the flower buds have started to dry up. They are not actually ready for harvest yet because the buds are still green, and only once they turn brown can the seeds be harvested. Only then the seeds will be ready for growing into new plants. Alyssum is another flower which I had shared in a previous video, and these are self-seeding flowers and they grow very beautifully in a partially shaded area of the garden. So as I break open you can see that yellow little tiny thing, that is the seed of Alyssum. So with my alyssums, I have only grown them from seed once and then they have self-seeded to grow back again and again over the last couple of years. So they have been in the same container and they have self-seeded in the same container and grown a lot of beautiful flowers. So as you can see, these seeds are really tiny and they do self-seed due to the wind, and they fall back into the same container and also in containers nearby, and they grow pretty well. In addition to flowers, I also have some greens and herbs that are going to seed. So these are my spinach plants and they have started to bolt. This is one batch of spinach that I had planted a long time back, and I have got a good harvest from these plants and now they have started to bolt. And once these buds dry up, they will produce seeds and they will dry up, and then I can harvest them to sow during the winter time. So with herbs and greens like spinach, I don't really throw them back into the same container because summer is approaching, the weather is starting to get warmer during the day, and these plants will not grow well anymore. They might do well for a few more weeks, but this is not the time to plant any more winter greens or winter herbs. These plants will do well mostly during the cooler months. So, after October, September, October, when the weather cools down, is when I'm going to plant them. And also, our fenugreek is starting to produce seeds. So, these are the seed pods of the fenugreek. We got a good harvest of fenugreek. I harvested at least 3 to 4 times from this container, and there is another container with spinach, and accidentally a few seeds of fenugreek fell into this container and it started growing there too. So this is also started to bolt and started producing seeds. So most herbs are ready to form seeds during the spring summertime, and we can harvest them and sow them in winter. I had also shared a few pictures of the flowers of cilantro. They are really pretty, cute, beautiful flowers, and after the flowering stage, they go into the seed stage. And here you can see the green seeds of cilantro. They are not ready for harvest yet, they need to dry out and turn brown before I can harvest them. Once these seeds turn brown, I'm going to be harvesting them and store them in a Ziploc bag or in a airtight container so that I can sow them again during the winter time. And this container is right next to the fence, and these plants have gone through the fence to the other side of the fence, and there are a lot of seeds growing on the other side. So this is on the other side of the fence, and you can see that the plant has grown through the fence, and here we have so many seeds of cilantro. So all of this I'm going to wait till they turn brown, because unless they are mature, it is not going to be effective and they're not going to germinate. So here are a few of them have started to turn yellowish brown, but they are not ready yet. Now here are some nasturtiums that I grew from seed, and they are doing pretty well and they are flowering regularly now. And after the flowering season, you can see small seed pods starting to form at the base of the flower. So after this dries up, I can save some of the seeds to grow more plants. But I did recently order a few flowering seeds like last year, so I do have some nasturtium seeds in that as well. But I can harvest these seeds too so that I can grow some on my terrace as well. Nasturtiums are great companion plants to grow along with a lot of vegetable plants, and they are great to keep a lot of pests away. So, when we do a lot of companion planting, just like marigold, nasturtium is a beautiful plant but also a beneficial plant and will do well with vegetables in the garden. I had been trying to find these butterfly pea flowers for a long time in nurseries, and now once I got them, these plants are growing really well and producing a lot of seeds. So I'm saving many of these seeds, and I have planted them already in a few containers and 2 3 spots in my garden. So they are doing pretty well, and as you can see, every seed pod has at least 8 to 10 seeds in them, and I'm just harvesting them. I did share a few with my parents because my dad wanted these plants, so I shared a few plants and some seeds with him when I visited him last time. And in addition to that, these flowers have a lot of medicinal benefits. They are used to make the butterfly pea tea that we can drink every morning, along with some honey and lemon, and they are great for skin and also have a lot of medicinal benefits. These flowers, as I had shared in a video previously, can also be used to make face masks and are great for improving the skin tone. Tulsi or the holy basil is another wonderful plant to grow in every garden. The strong smell of the tulsi plant keeps away a lot of different varieties of pests. So we have these plants growing among our vegetable garden in different containers and also in the ground. They are also self seeding plants and they grow by themselves. These dried up seeds are carried by the wind and it grows in a lot of places in our garden. These leaves have a lot of medicinal benefits and can be used to prepare tea. The tea prepared with tulsi leaves have a lot of benefits and they help to boost our immunity and keep us away from common cold and cough. I have never had to buy this plant more than once because these plants self seed and they grow in several places in the garden. And they are also beneficial because they keep away a lot of pests. So, just like the marigold or the nasturtiums that I showed earlier, the tulsi plants are also very beneficial, just like the other basil, just like we would plant basil as a companion plant with tomatoes and peppers. The holy basil or the tulsi plant is also very beneficial when planted among our vegetable patch or in small containers around the garden. So, as we walk around the garden during the end of any growing season, we can always see different kinds of seeds that grow on many of the plants. Sometimes they don't need to be harvested or saved, but sometimes we can harvest and save them for later. And here I have the Bringraj plant that is really beneficial for hair growth. So I had one container or one big grow bag with these plants. It was filled with these plants, but they all got infected with mealybugs. So then I saved seeds from some of them and planted them in another container. So these are the seeds of the Bringraj plant, and I just harvested and randomly threw them into a few pots. Now I have a few containers that have the Bringraj plant, and it is very beneficial because you can make hair masks or hair oil using the leaves of this plant. So, as I was mentioning earlier, as we walk through the garden towards the end of any growing season, we can see that the flowers or the herbs or the vegetables that we have planted in our garden have started to produce seeds once its growing season is over, and we can harvest those seeds and save them for later or plant them again if the season is right for them. In this way, we can avoid buying those plants again and again from the nursery. So, when we were new to gardening, we didn't know this, and we would go back every season for the same flowers and we would keep buying them again and again from the nursery. But over a period of time, we learned the benefits of seed saving and how we can grow these plants without buying it repeatedly from the nursery, and we can save a lot of money by saving these seeds and growing them again. So I hope you found today's video useful. If you did, please do share your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe to my channel for more gardening related videos. See you again in another video. Thanks for watching Fresh from my garden.